definition in entertainment. And you're talking about one Guyana. When the Ministry of Culture keep the big shows, one set of girls and banner. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up. The people fed up. Every picture you take and promise you make, everything you do is about clout. When you come into me for I shake your hand, there's nothing to smile about. Corruption inside every sector, but when it comes to them they send you. Try investigate efficiency, right? Go talk to Barrett and Sue. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up. The people fed up. I done fed up by the dirty water, low pressure, want scream and tell somebody. Imagine 1500 US and they're telling me super salary.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Over to You on this day, the 31st day of January 2026. Yes, this is the last and final day of January. I can't believe that we're already there. Good evening to each and every one of you. I hope that you're having a beautiful and productive weekend thus far. Welcome to your program, Over to You, a program for the people, by the people. Look, it's a very, very cold afternoon, a cold evening here in the northeast region of the United States. And I know my friends in Canada is feeling the same thing. Okay, lots of snow is piled up all across the streets here. People are fighting for parking spots and a lot of different things. That's the stuff we have to deal with here in Canada and North America. You know, you get up in the mornings to go to work, it is -5, -4. So for those on the ground in Guyana, these are the type of days that you don't want to be in the United States of America. Yes, there's a smart Felix. It's very, very cold. I agree with you 100%. Very, very, very cold. Anyhow, look, that's not gonna stop us. We are here this evening again for yet another program. I will ask you guys to go ahead and just do the little administrative duty and share the link and like the program. This is your program, Over to Your program for the people, by the people. And again, a pleasant good evening to those down on the ground, downtown Georgetown, Guyana, and all across Guyana. Welcome to tonight's program. Big shout out to the people of BV Triumph and Pleasance and Buxton, Golden Grove, Nabaclis, Victoria. Big up to all the people, you know, across the East Bank. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to the broadcast. I'll go ahead and I'm going to do the roll call for this evening. All right, try and get in there so your name could call. Get in here early. Yvonne Rodriguez, a pleasant good evening. I see you don't waste any time. You're here already. Look, watching from Barbados. Good, Barbados already in the house. Marcus Paul, Canarsie, Brooklyn is in the house. A pleasant good evening to you, sir. Puran Ramdas, we go all across Guyana there to Region 2 in the house. Good evening, Puran. Ingrid Carter, a pleasant good evening to you, Miss Carter. Matthew Dennison, all right. We go down what? The FDR Drive in Manhattan out there to Harlem. Harlem is in the house with Matthew Dennison. The Honorable Mr. Victor Ben. Is he our first Canadian? Yes, it's the first Canadian of the evening in the house. Victor, see you up at the top of the pecking order tonight, boy. It look like if you can't wait. I can't wait for your feedback tonight. Miss Mary Figueroa, another Canadian right behind Mr. Victor Ben. A pleasant good evening to you. We're on the Tuesday. Good to see you. I look forward to action from you here tonight. Miss Ann John, welcome to the program. Miss Desiree Smart Felix, our third Canadian in the house. Good to see you and welcome to the broadcast. Miss Pam Halls, it's good to see you here this evening. Colette Bailey, welcome to the broadcast. Good to see you. Miss Audrey Brown, it's always a pleasure having you here. Don Wilson, good to see you. The Honorable Mr. Jason Benjamin, good to see you. Penelope Hudson, good to see you. And good evening to you. Miss Beverly Ann Romaine, good to see you. Lawrence James, good to see you. Miss Sandra Hanover, the freedom fighter, yes, we both are. Good to see you and good evening to you. Susan Pinheiro, good evening and good to see you. Miss Hazel Johnson, always a pleasure seeing you and good evening to you. Rosemary Martindale Brackett, good evening. Miss Fidel Albert, good evening, welcome to the broadcast. Floretta Hamilton, good evening, welcome to the broadcast. Diane Fordyce, welcome to the broadcast. Jennifer Albert, good evening, welcome to the broadcast. Mayborn King, good evening, welcome to the broadcast. The Honorable Mr. Keith Beresford, good to see you. Big time DJ, good to see you, sir. Sharon Griffith, good to see you. Patricia Gray-Zandi, good to see you. Joy Phillips, welcome to the broadcast and good evening to you. Paula Mattis, welcome to the broadcast, good evening to you. Susan London, welcome and good evening to you. Miss Orwell Dawn Cook, welcome to the broadcast, good evening to you. And so also Jennifer Albert, good evening to you. Claudette Allen, good evening, welcome to the broadcast. Bossman Galiv, big up my brother, good evening. And it's good to have you in the house, my brother. Look forward to your participation. Persis Wilson, welcome. Miss Joy A. Hopkinson, the freedom fighter, welcome. And yes, grand rising to you also. Look forward to your participation this evening. Robin Aline Barnwell, good evening, welcome to the broadcast. Jennifer Goodchild, good evening, welcome to the broadcast. Lorraine Beat, welcome. Donna John, welcome. Jeffter Albert, welcome. Antigua is in the house, good. Jillian Solomon, welcome. Lawrence James, welcome. Morna Saul, welcome. Paulette Hawk Kippins, a pleasant good evening to you. Welcome to the broadcast. So True Hector, my brother, good to see you. Welcome to the broadcast. Denise Adams, welcome. Marlon Stevens, welcome. Janice M. Johnson, welcome everyone. If I miss your name, I'm sorry. Johan Austin, welcome. Colleen James, welcome. We got a long list this evening. Mike Benjamin, good to see you. Petra Gordon, welcome. Jillian Coltrust, welcome. Kenneth D. Flormont, Maryland in the house, good to see you. Carl Duncan, good to see you. Beverly Crandon Hudson, good to see you. Patricia Sana, Orin Paris, good evening, welcome to the broadcast. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think I got everyone there. All right. Welcome. Coming off of last week. Last week was a touch and go program. I know that. But I just want to say this, all right, to certain people. Don't get carried away. For democracy to exist in Guyana, there must be a strong, rejuvenated APNU in order for there to be democracy. And I say the word democracy. There must be a strong APNU party in Guyana. All right? So, please, people, don't jump up and try to bully and eliminate the APNU. Because for one, I'll tell you, it's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. All right? It's not going to happen. Guyana needs the APNU. Guyana needs, a strong democracy. You heard what I say, a strong democracy. Because what? We have a new party in opposition, right? We have a new lead party in opposition, right? We just had the 2026 budget that Ashley Singh stood up there for 6 hours and read. On what, Thursday it was? Okay? Nothing has changed, ladies and gentlemen. The budget is still 50% of the budget is still being channeled towards infrastructure. So the needle hasn't moved. Okay? The needle has not moved. All right? I'm just saying the needle has not moved. Now, for the new party, yes, Win has 16 seats. We cannot deny that. Win has 16 seats. However it is that the PPPC has done it, we have 36 seats. Win has 16 seats. APNU, you have 12 seats. Forward Guyana, you have 1 seat. Okay? That's how the PPPC did. Look, that's what I am going with. That I am entitled to my opinion. That is my opinion. That is what the PPP did. They handed out the seats to everyone. The election by no means was free and fair. Right? Cannot be free and fair. A lot of things tell me that the elections is not free and fair because look, if we could have conducted a census in 2022 and this year is 2026 and we are now getting back results from a census that was conducted in 2022, it paints a picture. Had we gotten back the results of those census, right? It would have given the proper data for you to look at the electoral records, for you to look at the list, for you to look at all these different things. We never got back the data. The PPP withheld the data until after the 2025 elections. We got to look at the trickery that is being played here. When they were finished now, they took 36 seats for themselves. They gave Win 16 seats. They gave APNU 14 seats. That was purposely done. Because now what happens here? And the PPP, you know, these guys, yes, they're not the smartest with managing the country. But boy, can they not pick story and cause problem, boy. Because they know, look, the guy comes from the belly of the beast. Right? They know that he's not going to try to tie bundle with APNU. They know this. Now what you do? You put those two parties to fight while you go about doing your thieving. You put those two parties to fight each other, APNU, and Win gonna fight and pass way with each other, and Forward Guyana gonna come in and try for part. Next thing you know, they in the fight and everybody in the fight. And the PPP just watching everybody fight and thieving. Good strategy. Good strategy. The thing is, what is the opposition party's plan to combat what the PPP is doing? And I don't think you start to combat that by going to GCOM and asking for the heads of the opposition commissioners. I don't think that that's a good start. I do not believe that it is a good start to go and ask for the head of the opposition commissioners. Now, come on. The least you could have done is run a test with them. The least you could have done is requested a meeting with those three gentlemen. And I would tell you, as the leader of Win, you get some of your top individuals, you meet with those three men, and after that, you do a follow-up meeting with those same three commissioners, and you invite Comrade Norton, Comrade Terence Campbell, and a few from the APNU upper tier, and y'all sit down and y'all have these discussions of how y'all want to approach GCOM. You can't just attack them and ask for their resignation because it's not going to look good. Look, it don't look good. Okay? It don't look like if you're being authentic when you say that you want to work with APNU. So on the win side, there are 3 former parliamentarians. They should be providing guidance to make this whole process smooth. You came from APNU. How you think it looked for you to be a part of another party, and this is the way you attack the bridge that you once walked on, the bridge you once crossed? How do you think it looked? These gentlemen they were elected constitutionally. You cannot just, and look, ladies and gentlemen, when the election would have happened, right? When the election would have happened, we basically had a duopoly, meaning 2 powerful parties in the APNU and the PPP. You always had the WPA there, but the WPA never got a significant amount of seats. You see now on the opposition side, there's a balance because 16 is not much larger than 12, right? It's not much larger, right there. 16, 12, and 1. So provisions were never made to, okay, let's split the GCOM commissioners proportionally, right? That will now be a new regime. Because for the first time on the opposition side, we have this where it's close. I think the AFC once had about 7 or 8 seats. But you see, the thing with the AFC, they were so ingrained with the PNC forming APNU that they never looked at it. They just said, look, we are together, that's it. Right? That's it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's just continue here with these GCOM commissioners. And I want the people at the top of the executive of WIN to start thinking a bit. Because I like when people think, right? Now, let's say you want to throw out these 3 commissioners that are there now. Okay, you take them and you dash them out. Okay? Now, you're going to take 3 new people and you're going to put them at GCOM. Number 1, they don't have the historical context of what was happening at GCOM. That's number 2. Number 1. Number 2, they just don't have the scope as yet. So you're going to send 3 people there to now learn. They're going to go there to learn. Giving up 3 experienced individuals who are currently there. Look, I'm going to just say this. We need to be smart. Okay? We need to be very smart. Right? You already have more seats than APNU. Nobody's questioning that. But your approach seems to be anti-APNU. Okay? There are people who called me this week. And they're of the opinion that WIN is working with the PPP to destroy and eliminate APNU. That's their opinion. And, you know, I could not have argued with them based on the approach that the WIN party would have taken to go after these 3 GCOM commissioners. Why not go after Claudette Singh? Why not start at the head and then come down? Why you start off in the middle tier? You're not making sense. You're playing a hand, and the Guyanese people are starting to understand what you're doing. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say this, and to the Guyanese on the ground, this is specifically for you. Okay? I believe during the 2025 elections, you guys have lost your way, would have lost your way. Okay? Selling your vote for $25,000 on a t-shirt, amongst other things that you would have done. Okay? You have proven, for those who would have done it, You have proven with your actions that although we had all these programs here, that you were still not educated to what was happening around you. Okay? You have proven that by taking whatever amount of money it was that you've taken and a t-shirt and voting the other way. You know, somebody specifically called me this week, and you know what they said to me? They said, Wayne, these people are going to ball out for Aubrey, meaning Comrade Norton. Are they? Time will tell. Time will tell. But one thing I can say, it will not be easy. It will not be easy. You guys see a cash distribution in the budget, right? That might be the only one you get in the next 5 years. It is not written. As long as that is not written into law, would have passed through Parliament and got voted on, at the end of every year, you're going to be stressing, waiting for the next budget to see if you're going to be getting a cash distribution. No, I'm going to pivot back. I'm going to say this to you. Had you voted for the APNU, they were definitely going to pass that through Parliament, sign it into law, and every year you didn't have to stress. You didn't have to get heartburn. You didn't have to get headache. You would have known that that money would be coming your way. And for a matter of fact, let me be lucidly clear, okay? It was not going to be one distribution for the year. I am certain that you would have gotten two distributions totaling $200,000 by the end of the year. That means the first distribution of $100,000 and the second one for $100,000 at a total cost of about $120 billion, right? We have a $1.558 trillion budget, right? So $120 billion is not going to impact the budget tremendously. But no, you went and you voted PPP. You went and you voted PPP. You're going to pay the price. I'm telling you. You hear the finance minister jump up and abuse and go on. Think those guys care about y'all? You really think those guys care about y'all? Y'all going to find out. You're going to find out. No. Moving on. Pensioners, ladies and gentlemen. Pensioners. Okay? The people that would have worked and given them the Guyana that they have today that they can work with. Give them something that they can work with. All right? Mr. Ernest Elliott, you on the broadcast? Yes, you are a pensioner. $45,000 a month. 46, from 41 to 46. No, how can you do that? Let's start off. Number one, the PPP has done absolutely nothing to temper inflation and cost of living. So how can you hand $46,000 to your pensioners? You've done nothing. There's nothing such as price control in Guyana. There's nothing such as limitations on who owns business. Everywhere you turn is a Chinese. Eliminating all the normal mom and pop's business in the villages. Their prices are cheaper. The people believe that they're getting a deal, so they go to the Chinese. But what you're not thinking when you go into the Chinese is where the revenue is going. The revenue is not going to stay in your village. And furthermore, the revenue is not going to stay in Guyana. So there you go. Keep buying from the Chinese. Keep buying from the Chinese. Yes, Miss Marlon Thomas, 225 US. Yes, that's pension every month, 225 US. Right? 225 US. I don't want to say it. But if I try to put 225 US in context, you guys would laugh. But I'm not going to say it. But it's amazing. You know, it's amazing. So I believe, or I would have to think, that the government believes that every pensioner in Guyana is living at home with their children. They are not living on their own. And if they are living on their own, the assumption is that they own a home. And that's not the case, ladies and gentlemen. That's not the case. So that's it in a nutshell. The arguments are going to start. The rebuttal of the budget is going to start on Monday. I tell you, I can't wait to hear certain people speak and what's going to come from their mouths. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Look, I'll tell you guys this. When we look at the parliament and we look on the side of the opposition, okay, the APNU is by far the more experienced campaigners. Okay, they are a very, very smart team, top to bottom. All right. For a matter of fact, there's no top to bottom. They are a very strong team across the board. They go like this. It's nothing like this across the board. Right? And I can't wait because I expect some very, very good responses from APNU when their time is up. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not criticizing anyone else, but I just didn't like the approach. I just didn't like some of the things that happened during this week. You know, we need to stop this thing where if you're in politics and you're a part of government, because the opposition is a part of government, or you're a part of a party, these parties are all institutions, and you're playing an important role within that institution. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to understand, right, that there are young people that are looking at you. There are people across the board that are looking at you that is holding you to a certain standard, right? You cannot come out and curse out people. You can't come and curse out people and then when you're done, you wanna make deals. You might get in parliament and end up talking to those same people. You have to be careful, man. You have to be careful. I'm saying this across the board without picking on no individual. If you're guilty of this, you would know yourself and you would make the adjustment. You are now at a very high level in an institution and you are now roaming the halls of parliament. Okay? The Parliament of Guyana. You will be held to that standard and you must maintain it. Right? Barry Jagdeo would have came into the house a few years ago and called it a comedy show. You know, you guys shouldn't want that. You guys shouldn't want anybody to come in to the House of Parliament and call it a comedy show. All right? So let's start behaving like grown adults here, matured adults. All right? And if we have an issue with somebody, let's deal with it. Let's call up, let's make a phone call and deal, because getting in public and cursing, it don't look good and you're not scoring points. You might believe you're scoring points because you're cursing and a lot of people might get onto the post and they might laugh and stuff like that. We have a lot of these people because as a country, we have fallen from grace. We have allowed lawlessness to take over. That is why, ladies and gentlemen, it is important to have a strong APNU. It is important to have a strong APNU. Look, you guys believe if APNU was sitting there in power, you guys think we would have still been talking about the death of Adriana Young not being properly investigated and no one has been brought to justice for the death of that child? Would not have been talking about that. We would not, because APNU, that party is built on fundamentals, strong fundamentals. All right? Strong values, strong integrity. And they would not allow such a thing to happen without being thoroughly investigated. Now, I'm gonna say a few things here. You believe if Hapnu was sitting in power from 2020 to 2025, ladies and gentlemen, we would have been talking about a 60% poverty rate in Guyana? Never. Not a chance. Not a chance. If we were to talk about poverty in Guyana, I could tell you this, guys. It probably would have been about 20 to 25% poverty, and they would have said, hey, we're working on it. We're working to get it lower. All right? I can tell you that. APNU is a people-centric party. There's no doubt about that. From leadership right down. From leadership right down. Though, in every party, you will have flaws. In every party, you will have flaws. I took the stage last week to call out certain flaws that I've seen. I took to the stage and do that. Because I'm objective. I'm objective. But what I see happen this week, you know, I had to recalibrate and come again. You know, because one thing we can't afford is to lose Guyana and lose democracy. And I believe that how people are operating, we are starting to head down that road. So I'm looking for the strong APNU supporters to come to the forefront. Come to the forefront and represent your party. Joy A. Hopkinson, I'm not talking about you. You're always in the front seat. You don't have to tell you come downstairs. And Gavin Caesar, you don't have to tell these people come downstairs. As soon as you talk, they coming downstairs. Hazel Johnson and others, Fidel Albert, they come straight downstairs. Even last week on my program when I was being objective, a few people came downstairs. And that's good. That is very, very good. See, Marlon Thomas said, who vex, vex. Yeah, she just come downstairs quick, quick too. So, oh boy, Thomas Bowman come out weighing. That is ours. He cost APNU for everything. He only using the followers for his protection. Thomas Bowman, I ain't gonna argue with you. I can't argue with you. I ain't want to get in trouble for arguing with you. Shondell Griffith, what you saying? Exactly so. All right. Okay. Denise Booker is another one. You ain't got car, she downstairs for APNU. She coming straight downstairs. And they done say, who, look, Hazel Johnson telling me right here, ladies and gentlemen, who vex? Drink more vex. All right. We continuing. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be here until the executive producer just reached out to me and said, Wayne, carry it on until 8:30. 8:30 Eastern Standard Time here on the East Coast in the US. 9:30 Guyana time, yes. 9:30 Guyana time. I have you guys up late in Guyana, but tonight is Saturday night. It should be a normal trend in Guyana where we are up Saturday night. Okay, and you guys know that Over to You is going to be on Saturday night. You grab your popcorn and you get yourself ready. Fidel Albert is saying democracy already gone, Wayne. They can't lose what already gone. All right, Miss Fidel Albert. We believe that democracy is on life support in Guyana, and the APNU, a revival of the APNU, can really restore democracy back to Guyana. And look, you know, when I say a revival of the APNU, I have to be careful when I use such a word as revival. Because those 12, what they call them, the 12 disciples, they are doing a fantastic job. They are doing a fantastic job. Marlon Thomas, you're right. The 12 disciples is rocking and rolling. They are rocking and rolling. They're doing an excellent job. And look, this party is right across the board have very, very, very strong leadership. Again, missing at the forefront of the leadership is the Honorable former Chief Whip Christopher Jones, former MP Miss Annette Ferguson, okay, former MP and senior counsel Comrade Roysdale Ford. I need to see these three individuals attending press conferences and at the forefront. Okay? Let's show strength in numbers. I know that these guys are smart, but let's show strength in numbers. Okay, Judith David Blair is saying the PPP and their cohorts are stifling the small miners. Yeah, well, of course. The underhand handing off of money comes from companies, right? They're the ones that gonna give out the money and gonna make the big deal under the table. Small miners is just hustling to get what they could get, to grow their little mining, to grow their little company and do what they have to do, That's all they're trying to do. But the big ones are coming in. They're taking all the good fertile lands, right? And giving the little guys the drippings. It's the same way that government is operating in Guyana, where you have people like Zulfikar and Susan Rodriguez. They're getting rich. And the normal born and bred Guyanese is poor. Right? There is such a wide margin between these elected high-level public servants, president, vice president, ministers in government, and the normal public servant. When you raise public servant salary 8 or 10%, Irfaan Ali raising his salary 8 or 10%. So this is what Guyana is all about. It's no law and order. Nothing is ever done properly. We never do anything based on studies. We never engage. There's no rules of engagement with the opposition. Right? We go ahead and we put one Guyanian passport or whatever we put in passport and all these things without engaging the opposition. These are national documents. But I tell you this, I believe that the PPP, their goal is to see Guyana become a one-party state. And I believe the way that this election, the 2025 elections, was conducted, and the way the seats were distributed, shows me that they are putting the mechanisms in place and is prepared to use certain people to make sure that their goal is achieved. So Guyanese, please stay awoke. Don't be carried away. Okay? Because nothing has changed. You have a new lead party in the opposition, but nothing has changed. For matter of fact, something has changed on the side of the opposition. That the two parties with the most seats are not engaging, are not working together. Is that by chance? Or maybe it is by design. Time will tell. Time will tell, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing can stay in the dark forever. Guyanese, again, stay awoke. Please, I beg you. All right? I beg you. Don't forget, your actions today determines your tomorrow. Yes, Judith David Blair, our MPs are able and capable. I agree. Robin P. Simon. She said same thing the leader said. So all right. So I'm saying something that is adding up with what Comrade Norton is saying. All right, Robin. Please, if you want to add some more, please feel free to call in. I'm right here. The phone is right here. I believe you have my number. I know you've been doing a tremendous job on the ground. If you could call in and maybe tell the viewers a little bit about what you've been doing, and especially since local government elections is coming up, maybe you may have some good tips to give to our viewers and also to the voters on the ground in Guyana. Right? We look, the Guyanese people have to come out in their numbers. They have to demonstrate, first of all, the numbers must demonstrate that 60% of them are living in poverty. Okay? And the numbers must also demonstrate that they would have understood that they would have made mistakes in the 2025 elections, and they're willing to right those wrongs at the local government, the upcoming local government election. Right? They will have to show that. Okay, Robin, got it. Got it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue, as I was saying before, Guyana, the people of Guyana will not allow the nation to become a one-party state. They will not. Okay? Irfan Ali, if you guys are trying or digging and thinking that you're going to change the laws where you're going to be able to sit for an additional 5 years after this term as president, it will not happen. All right? A lot of people have reached out to me and said, Wayne, you know what? We like the things that we see APNU is doing, but we need to see some action. Right? We need to see some action. Well, action can happen in many ways. Right? It doesn't necessarily have to be protest action. And protest action can be done in many ways also. Guyanese can use their wallets in protest. Okay? Where they just stop spending their monies. All right? Because I don't believe that government has the right, to determine the trajectory of one's life and what he or she becomes in life, right? Or one's status in life, whether rich or poor. I believe that no matter your race, class, gender, there should be equal opportunity, across the board for one to be able to work and amass wealth if that is what the person wants to do. And for all Guyanese to be able to work and maintain their children, maintain their household, have a house lot, have a home. Okay? Government is there to ensure that these things happen, and to make these things available to citizens. We're not saying that government need to pay for them, but you're there to serve the citizens. So looking at the citizens of Guyana now, where 60% of them are in poverty, then it should show to the government that, hey, we need to put programs in place that is geared towards, eradicating poverty. You put the programs in place, you make sure that your education system is very robust and strong. All right? How do you make your education system strong? You need to have strong curriculums, and you also need to make sure that you're paying your teachers properly. All right? so that they can, that product, your teachers, that product that you put in front of the classroom can be consistent in edifying the young children across Guyana. Okay? It takes two hands to wash, right? If you pay the teachers, then the product is going to be good because they're going to be happy. They're going to be able to maintain their families. They wouldn't have to be making snacks at home to bring to school to sell in order to make ends meet, to be able to meet the mortgage when the month comes. Irfan Ali, Bara Jagdio, Anil Nandalal, Ashley Singh, you guys understand what I just, I hope you guys understood what I just said. Because that's what parents have to deal with. It's not like you guys who could go out and like Zulfikar and Susan Rodriguez and brandish apartment buildings and mansions. They don't have that. And when the month comes, they got to pay their fair share of taxes also. Right? And in return for those taxes that they pay, they get flickering lights and water that they have to pay for, They have to pay for. You guys talk about, we have these large, massive infrastructure budgets, but still the water is coming out brown one day, orange one day. Come on. The lights are still flickering. You have boats sailing up and down. Every time we get a new budget, you hear the gas to energy project. It's going to be ready in 2 years. 2 years come up, it's going to be ready in 2 years. And we just keep going. We're not making progress. And like myself and Dr. Adams would have discussed on Straight Up earlier this week, with oil, right? We both agree that there's a bell curve. There's a bell curve. And we may be at the top of that bell curve now. Right? If we're at the top of the bell curve, we're in 2026. We may stay there until maybe mid towards the end of this year. And then maybe we may start the decline. Right? Because it's projected in 2029 that we're going to be in full decline. So I asked the question, what would of the Guyanese people gain from this oil find? What would the pensioners have gained from this oil find? Has it made their lives any better? I can say that it has made Susan Rodriguez's life better and Zulfikar. These people. Vikram Bharat, the same guy that said, cash distributions is not going to eradicate poverty and all kind of things. The Guyanese people don't need that. It's $100,000 to $200,000 a year cannot bring about inflation. Right? It cannot. I think that the Guyanese people deserve more than that. All right, Gavin Caesar, I see that you will not be bullied. Okay. Okay. I know that APNU will not be bullied. APNU have strong people. Oh, Beverly Ann Romaine, I really like this comment. Beverly Ann Romaine said, Joseph Harmon said that he would have worked with Mr. Norton. So what happened now? Where is Joseph Harmon? Like he was against Norton. Look, Miss Beverly Ann Romaine, to answer your question, and I was one of the first people to come out and talk about how big these people's egos are. They're big for no reason. Because when you look at their accomplishments, it's nothing much. It's nothing really to talk about. Right? It's nothing. When you want to talk about accomplishments, you got to look at a Lyndon Forbes, Samson Burnham. When you want to talk about accomplishments. All right. A lot of people have him down in their bad book. But that's just because they just don't understand. You know what would have happened there? We had everything in Guyana, right? I know there's people like Victor Ben and Keith Beresford and these guys on the program. And I've spoken to all of these gentlemen. They said they were never hungry. It was fun. Guyana was fun. We had test cricket playing in Guyana. Yes. Lyndon Forbes Samson Barnum wasn't just the leader of Guyana. He was the leader of the Caribbean. He was a fixture in the Caribbean. Not in a corrupt way. Okay? Not in a corrupt way. He was a fixture. That name Lyndon, it hurts the PPP hearts. They're intimidated by that name. That's why Lyndon in Region 10 is treated the way it is, with no care for the people whatsoever. And I'm seeing, I'm so tempted. I'm so tempted to use a word that my good friend, someone who I respect a whole lot, the Honorable Dr. David Hines, would have used, and rightfully so. Again, I agreed with what he said, because I saw a set of them sitting around a table with the Bishop Edghill. You think they care about Londoners? You think those LBs care about Londoners? They don't. They don't. And that's what we have to be on the lookout for. Because there's a lot of people that looks like me that the PPP will use. The PPP doesn't care about equity across ethnic groups. They don't care about that. They don't know anything about that. They look at inferior and superior. That's what they look at. But my brothers and sisters in Guyana, lift your heads up. Y'all are not inferior to anyone. Lift your heads. Okay? Lift your heads. Do not be intimidated. Lift your heads. Understand your rights. And I say this, I could only say this about the APNU. The APNU needs to be frontal when the Guyana Police Force is harassing and abusing citizens. The APNU needs to take a frontal position on that. When these things happen, resistance must be shown. Resistance must be shown. Not fake resistance, right? Not fake resistance. You know, I gotta like APNU, because even on the social media platforms, APNU have very strong people and smart people who supports them. If we have a problem with APNU, we get out there, we discuss it on an intellectual level. There's no cursing, because we are classy. That's why there's no cursing. We are intelligent and we are classy. All right? So don't anybody get tossed up. APNU is here, and APNU is here to stay. They have their constituency. They have their supporters. Ladies and gentlemen, come out. Hans Rani, Ragnat, Facebook. I'm gonna pull you up after this program. Sit down, you're black. That's you guys. That's you guys. That's you guys. That's the PPP right there. As racist as can be. That's the PPP. That's the PPP. That's a son or daughter of Barra Jagdeo right there. Right there. Sit down. You know what? I could see that I'm getting under your skin. Y'all want APNU to be weak so that y'all could take over. Guyana will never become an Indo state. It will not. Okay? So you could come out and you could curse how much you want to curse. You guys could ship how many guns y'all want to ship and handle how many guns y'all want to handle. It's not who starts with the guns. It's who's going to finish with them. It's not who start with the guns. It's who is going to finish with them. So don't come on this program and talk nonsense, because I'm going to pick you guys up. All right? I'm not the one to play with. All right. Go get your lead a couple shots and see if you could get out of bed and come out and hold a press conference. Don't come here and curse me. I'm not laying on my dying bed. I know someday I gotta die, but I'm not laying there right now. So you could go and sit down. You could go and sit down. You guys like to curse people and stuff like that. I'm the type of guy who like to meet up, you know. All right? I'm not the one. I'm telling you guys. All right? Let's continue, ladies and gentlemen. Let's continue here. Sorry for the distraction there. The PPP had to send in one of their goons. It could be Kwame. It could be Kwame. I remember back in the days, he had take out his little pistol and a gun whip a little Rasta guy and stuff like that. You could do that to them people, those type of people. Guys can't come wrong me. Not me. Don't worry that nonsense. Don't worry that nonsense. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me peep in. Let me peep in on your comments here. All right, here's the Honorable Mr. Norman Brown. He is saying that Terence Campbell is the new great Forbes Burnham with the intellect, vision, and the wherewithal to not only give the wealth of the nation to all Guyanese, but to save Guyana. Brother Norman, there's good, there's encouraging. Time will tell, but there's good. Very, very good comment. This is a comment that would encourage a lot of Guyanese. And yes, Dr. Campbell is very nimble on his feet. Very, very brilliant individual. Okay, carries himself very, very well with a lot of dignity and respect, you know, and you could tell from his intellect, you know, of course. Of course, why not? And I believe he has shown a skill that he likes to tap into the resources that are around him. Whether, you know, is touching base with the Honorable former Minister of Finance, Mr. Winston Jordan, amongst many others. You know, he has shown to have that tendency to be open to discussion. And that's a beautiful thing. When you're talking about being a leader, you know, you must have a good listening ear. So, very good point, Mr. Norman Brown. African Unite, here's Hazel Johnson. You know, sometimes we like to be inclusive all Guyana, but we notice that the African Guyanese are always willing to be inclusive. And no other group. There's a fact. That's not my opinion. That's a fact. There is no other group that would have allowed the lead party in government to have an African Guyanese leader and the lead party in the opposition to have an African Guyanese leader. No other ethnic group would allow that. Azruddin Mohammed, you understand me, was supported by so many African Guyanese to this position. A lot of former APNU people too. So now I'm going to say this. Now we have to sit down and see how the East Indian population of Guyana is going to pivot. Because we just can't keep bending over all the time. I'm sorry. I know that I'm not willing to do that. I know that I am not willing to do that. And I know many of you on this program is not willing to do that because we've done this over and over and over again. It cannot be that African Guyanese are the only ones that are learning and understand. In order for Guyana to move forward, the nation has to be equitable to all 6 ethnic groups. The African Guyanese understands this. The East Indian Guyanese doesn't get this, period. I can say this. And we're still waiting. We're still waiting to see where people are going to come out and vote to policy instead of voting race. Because had we come out and voted policy in 2025, the APNU would have been sitting in government. That's a fact. But we came out and we voted bottom-up politics. And we voted money politics. We show a complete breakdown in morals and values where we allow, the dollar to control where our vote went. Remember this: 200,000, 25,000, 50,000, 100,000. It's not sustainable over 5 years. It's not sustainable over 5 years. So for all of you who would have done that, I want you to sit down and think how smart you really are. Think about it. You're going to kick yourself. I'm telling you, you're going to kick yourself. Miss Orwell Dawn Cook, the producer, would have to do that. And that person, look, we all know that person is talking garbage. It might be somebody out of the office of the prime minister that's coming in, and trying to obstruct and interrupt on our program. But don't worry, we're gonna stay on task. We're gonna stay on task here. Right? We're gonna stay on task. I'm just going through your comments. Yes, Miss Fidel Albert. APNU always classy. Those 12 members are classy, highly qualified people. So they have to be classy. Unlike the PPP dunces that doesn't have any caliber. Yes, agree. Ashni Singh jump up in parliament to abuse. Here you have a budget where you only give in pensioners $5,000 raise and you jumping up to abuse. But the Guyanese people, you are the ones to blame for this. You're the ones to blame for this. Because you guys should be in your numbers coming to parliament. You guys should be coming to parliament in your numbers. Those streets around parliament building shouldn't be passable. They should not be passable. That's what you call fighting for democracy. Okay? Look at the people in the United States here in Minneapolis. Look at them. They are fearless. Nobody's going to infringe on their democracy. They're not going to stand for anybody bullying them. And you know what? They're getting support all across the country. All across the country, people are giving them support. I am waiting to see when the Guyanese people are going to determine that enough is enough. And they're going to go there and stand up for their rights. There's nothing wrong with doing that. It's your democratic right. The Guyana Elections Commission would have hijacked democracy from the people of Guyana. Okay? They've taken your democracy out of your hands. And front and back of any fight should be the fight for biometrics and a new voters list. I'm telling you, if by the time halfway through this cycle, I don't see house-to-house registration for a new voters list and the action of putting biometrics in place, I would call it a failure. You should not be waiting for the second half of the cycle to make sure that this happens. The opposition needs, and listen, if it's only APNU only, that's fine. If APNU has to do this by themselves, it's fine. You know what it's going to trigger? It's going to trigger a lot of people who would have left APNU to come right back home. I can tell you that. I can tell you that. I believe it's all about belling the cat. And once APNU starts to really own in on their actions against the PPP, we're going to see tremendous change. They are smart enough. They have the will and they have the support. Right? Yes, APNU is going to take a beating on the financial side. That can be figured out. Okay? That can be figured out. Ways to raise money can be figured out. I wouldn't speak on a matter like that out in the public here because, of course, the PPP is listening. Right? And certain things will be kept secret and wouldn't be available for the PPP to listen into. But APNU is going to challenge the PPP. Okay? And for Jagdeo and his group, the cronies that he have around him, if you guys thought that when you guys would have distributed out the seats, that giving APNU only 12 seats would eliminate APNU, you got a wrong thought. You've just fired up APNU. And you're going to see a fired up APNU. Okay? We understand that we just cannot write letters and be nice with you guys. Right? You guys don't hear that. So the people will have to come to the street at some point. The people will have to come to the street at some point. And I'll say this. To all the people who support the PPP, both Afro-Guyanese and East Indian Guyanese, shame on you. Shame on you. Because you guys see, in order for this party called the PPP that you guys support, in order for them to do something for a Guyanese, the person has to be a member of the PPP or an individual who would have voted PPP. That's not democracy. Okay? That is not democracy. That there is a jostle to have a one-party state. You want to benefit? You have to be on our side. If you're not on our side, you don't have anything to get. Okay? To any other party in the opposition, I say this to you. Not the WPA. I say this to you. The PNC was founded in 1957. They weren't founded in 2025. Have some respect. The APNU, the PNC, and by extension the APNU, have a very, very strong and rich history. Have a body of work that they can show. Okay? You're now trying to get your feet wet. And in trying to get your feet wet, I would scold you and I would say to you, have a measure of respect. Okay? Have a measure of respect. You're not attacking the PPP, who should be your main adversary, the way you're attacking APNU. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Francine Cruz, you all see our message, Mr. Terrence Campbell. You have our support. We are asking you to carry out a membership drive to start having community meetings with our supporters. That's an excellent point, Miss Francine Cruz. That is an excellent point. The people must be kept grounded. We got to take the street, my brother. Yes, Gavin Caesar. Yes. The other thing I want to see from the APNU is that they putting people in place so that they can provide protection so there are people in the diaspora who wants to come down to Guyana and help young people look, we don't come for photo op if we come to Guyana, no. We come on business to take care of the business of the people in Guyana. Okay? Flash Gordon, they should have come out in numbers. I think he was talking about the September elections. Well, Flash, the elections are gone now. We have local government coming up, right? And we just have to hope. We just have to hope and pray that the people come out, right? I will continue to appeal to them that they need to come out. You don't need at the regional level, you don't need the PPP to be controlling things. No, here is an opportunity for you to put some checks and balances in place. Here's an opportunity to go out there at the local government and vote overwhelmingly for the APNU. Yes, we APNU have the best 12 MPs in Parliament. Joy A. Hopkinson, courtesy of the modern day slave catchers. Well, Marlon Thomas, boots on the ground, courtesy of the modern day slave catchers. They are disrespectful and arrogant and doing a lousy job of it. Miss Orwell Don Cook, win on the PPP. They are one and the same. All right, time will tell. Time will tell. Right, Miss Joy A. Hopkinson? Time will tell. Gavin Caesar, the by Pampos. Well, look, you know something? I find it hard pressed to say that the guy is pompous. He was not guided correctly. He was not guided correctly. They are 3 former APNU MPs that is a part of the WIN party that should be guiding the WIN leader, that should be edifying him that the PPP, that the PNCR and by extension APNU has been around since 1957. Have some respect. They should have been guiding him on this. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 25 minutes after the hour of 8 here, Eastern Standard Time in the United States of America, and it's 9:25 in Guyana. We have 5 more minutes left before, we wrap up for tonight. He don't want to be guided. Well, if he don't want to be guided, Miss Hazel Johnson, he is no leader. Because he's not that intelligent to not want to be guided. I see a call is coming in. This is late. Program is almost wrapping up. Program is wrapping up. Oh boy, Simone Blackmon. Mr. Norman Brown was one of those influencers who were encouraging people not to vote for Mr. Norton. Look, as we come down close to wrap up time, I'll say this in closing tonight. Was Aubrey C. Norton given a fair chance at the 2025 general and regional elections? And my answer to that question is absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not even no. It's absolutely not. Okay? Absolutely not. It is a lot of things I didn't like. We're coming up on the end of the program. A lot of people who should have endorsed him did not endorse him. These are true. I am objective. Like I said, I'm going to say what I see. Okay? I'm going to speak what I see. Always. Would he have done better for the Guyanese people? My answer to that question, absolutely. Absolutely. You can see that he has that fear in him and understands that when you take an oath to the people, you have to execute when given the opportunity to do so. Wayne, how can he have respect when they around him does not have any respect? I agree with that comment, because the people around you sometimes, those are the ones that actually set the table. Those are the ones that set the table. Is what here Maxime Monroe. I know this comment was up. Flash Gordon, that is why he turned to Amanda Eve. Okay, Flash is talking something about Amanda, or maybe it's Amanza. Because when he leaves to go to America, he will put her to take over. Well, look, there's a lot of individuals who aren't patient. Okay? Siobhan McDonald is very confident. She said the 12 disciples will do wonders at Monday's debate. I am waiting to enjoy that moment. I believe that they will do an excellent job. I believe that they're sitting there now preparing. Right? Remember, the saying, to fail to prepare is to prepare to fail. I have not really seen any errors on the part of those 12 that I can point out. Like I said, in addressing the APNU last week, the 12 was never included in anything because they have been excellent. Oh boy. Chanel Griffith, I can't. You get the clap so that I can't read that comment here, but I know the listener, the viewers can see it. You're so thank you, Mary. Mary said thank you, great show, guys. Oh, my brother, he can't wait for Monday either. Oh, he's gonna be calling me on the phone all day Monday with updates. I'm gonna try to make some time during work to sit down and really listen in. You know? Oh boy, Simone Blackmon, you putting the topping on the cake here. All right, ladies and gentlemen. All right. I just get an update from the executive producers. It's time to go, ladies and gentlemen. It was a pleasure having you this evening. To all the APNU supporters and the social media contributors, please, guys, make time to come on and over to you. I would like to have you guys here starting from next Saturday. Please book your Saturdays and come on. Anyone from the APNU is invited to come on to over to you. Okay, just let me know and book your time and you'll be here. All right. Until next Saturday, brothers and sisters, be careful, look out for each other. Those who are going to be in the highways and the byways, please drive carefully. Until next Saturday, love you, love you, love you. Over to you. Good night.